Hello viewers, how are you? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Elimu TV, the #1 station where you watch and learn. And today I'll be taking you through Biology Form 3. Our topic today is growth and development. Our topic today is growth and development. And our subtopic is primary and secondary growth. Our subtopic is primary and secondary growth. This is lesson 34. And I'm your tutor, Madam Sandra Awino. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to, number one, identify the region of primary and secondary growth. Identify the region of primary and secondary growth. And number two, draw and label the longitudinal section of an apex. Draw and label the longitudinal section of an apex. So this is the longitudinal section of an apex. Before we study the longitudinal section of an apex, I have to remind you one thing, that primary growth occurs in the apical meristems, and it leads to the elongation of either the shoot or the roots. Primary growth leads to what? Elongation of the shoot or the root, while secondary growth leads to the increase in the girth, increase in the diameter of the stem, increase in the diameter of the roots. So primary growth leads to the elongation. So for primary growth, the tall becomes taller or longer, you can say. The plant increases in height. So for primary growth, there's an increase in what? In height, and it takes place in the apical meristems. For the shoot, it takes place in the apical meristems, while secondary growth takes place in the cambium. And we've said that it leads to an increase in the diameter of the stem. It leads to an increase in the girth. So let's look at the longitudinal section of an apex. Let's look at the longitudinal section of an apex. At the meristem, that's the zone of cell division. The cells here divide mitotically. The cells here at the zone of cell division divide mitotically and hence increasing in number. The cells divide mitotically and hence increasing in number. The next stage is the zone of elongation. In this region, the cells expand and enlarge and hence increases in volume. The cells expand and enlarge. Are we together? So after the zone of cell division, we have the zone of elongation, whereby the cells does what? Enlarge and increase in number. The cells enlarge and increase in number. After that, we have the zone of differentiation. Can you see the zone of differentiation? This involves in this region, cells are differentiated and they form various tissues in the body. Cells are differentiated. You can see in this region we have the vascular bundle starting to form. In the vascular bundle we have the phloem and the xylem. So in the region of zone differentiation, different cells are formed, and they began to do their function. They began to do their function. They are specialized for various functions. The next step is the permanent tissue. This is whereby the cell has developed and it has grown to do its particular function. You can see in the permanent tissue we have a full developed vascular bundles, we have cortex, we have the pith. Have you seen that? So we've come to the end of our lesson. I hope you've understood something. You have to remember that primary growth happens in the apical meristem. Primary growth happens in the apical meristem, and it leads to what? To the elongation of the stem. The elongation of the shoot and the elongation of the root. So I have an assignment for you. Number 1, identify the region of primary growth. Identify the region of primary and secondary growth. Number 2, draw and label the longitudinal section of an apex. Draw and label the longitudinal section of an apex. For reference, you can study secondary biology student book 3. You can study secondary biology student book 3. You can study secondary biology student book 3. For this and more, dears, for this and more, please contact us. Our SMS number is 0723144259. On YouTube, you can get us. Our page is Elimu TV. Facebook, our page Elimu TV, and finally on Twitter at Elimu TV _Kenya. You have to remember that we are always here for you to offer you better services.